Imagine a woman born in the shadow of poverty, who would dismantle centuries of restrictive fashion, liberate women from corsets and excess, and forge a global empire that still dictates how the world dresses today. She did not merely design clothes, she engineered a cultural revolution, transforming comfort into luxury, simplicity into sophistication, and independence into an aesthetic. This is the extraordinary reality of a visionary, who turned her traumatic childhood into a blueprint for modern femininity, proving that true style emerges not from ornamentation, but from the courage to redefine the rules. Her journey from a provincial orphanage to the pinnacle of Parisian haute couture is a masterclass in strategic reinvention, demonstrating that elegance, when stripped of pretense, becomes timeless. The genesis of this unparalleled fashion phenomenon began in the summer of 1883 in the modest, working-class town of Saumur, France. Born Gabrielle Bonheur Chanel into a family of itinerant street vendors and struggling labourers, her early environment was defined by economic hardship, transience, and the quiet dignity of survival. Her father, a traveling merchant, and her mother, a laundry worker, navigated a precarious existence that left little room for stability or luxury. When her mother passed away from illness, the family structure fractured, and her father placed her and her sisters in an orphanage run by Catholic nuns in Aubazine. This institution, with its stark black and white uniforms, geometric architecture, and disciplined routines, would later become the unconscious foundation of her aesthetic vocabulary. Rather than being broken by isolation and poverty, she absorbed the visual language of her surroundings, internalizing the power of restraint, contrast, and clean lines. She spent her adolescence learning needlework, observing the habits of the upper class who occasionally visited the region, and cultivating a fierce determination to escape the confines of her origins. Her transition from a young seamstress to an emerging designer occurred through a series of calculated risks and strategic alliances. After leaving the orphanage, she worked briefly in a provincial tailor shop and later as a cabaret singer, adopting a stage name that would eventually eclipse her birth identity. This period introduced her to a network of affluent patrons and influential men who recognized her sharp wit, refined taste, and unconventional vision. Rather than accepting the traditional path of a kept woman, she leveraged these connections to establish her first millinery shop in Paris, strategically positioning herself near fashionable social circles where visibility and word of mouth could accelerate her growth. Her early hats were deliberately minimalist, rejecting the elaborate plumes and ornate decorations that dominated Edwardian fashion in favor of clean shapes and practical elegance. The simplicity of her designs resonated with women who were beginning to seek greater freedom of movement and a departure from the restrictive sartorial norms of the era. Her success in millinery provided the financial foundation to expand into clothing, marking the beginning of a deliberate campaign to dismantle the rigid structures of women's fashion. The true transformation of her brand occurred in the 19-teens and 20s, when she systematically replaced the corseted silhouettes, heavy fabrics, and excessive embellishments of the belle époque with garments that prioritized comfort, mobility, and understated luxury. She introduced jersey fabric, previously reserved for men's underwear, into women's daywear, creating fluid dresses that allowed for natural movement and everyday practicality. Her designs drew inspiration from menswear, naval uniforms, and the relaxed elegance of coastal resorts, translating masculine tailoring into feminine silhouettes that exuded confidence rather than fragility. She pioneered the concept of costume jewelry as a legitimate fashion statement, pairing faux pearls with simple black dresses to democratize luxury and prove that elegance did not require precious stones or aristocratic lineage. Her introduction of the little black dress transformed mourning attire into a versatile wardrobe essential, establishing a garment that would become synonymous with timeless sophistication across generations. Each collection was a deliberate statement against the ornamental excess of previous eras, advocating for a new paradigm where women could move freely, work efficiently, and express independence through their clothing. Behind the creative vision lay a formidable business strategy that elevated her name from a designer label to a global commercial powerhouse. She understood that lasting influence required control over production, distribution, and brand narrative, so she established her own workshops, carefully curated retail spaces, and maintained strict oversight of every garment that bore her label. Her most groundbreaking commercial achievement arrived with the launch of a revolutionary fragrance that fundamentally altered the beauty industry. Partnering with an experienced perfumer, she developed a complex, multi-layered scent that defied the single-note floral conventions of the time, creating an olfactory experience that was both modern and enduring. The decision to market the fragrance under a numeric designation rather than a romantic name reinforced her philosophy of clarity, precision, and modernity. The scent achieved unprecedented commercial success, generating substantial revenue that insulated her fashion house from economic fluctuations and funded further creative experimentation. She also expanded into accessories, footwear, and fragrance lines, ensuring that her aesthetic principles extended across multiple product categories while maintaining consistent quality and brand identity. Her career was not without significant obstacles, including the economic collapse of the 1930s, the disruption of the Second World War, and the shifting cultural landscapes that challenged her relevance. During the war, she closed her fashion house and temporarily retreated from public life, navigating a complex period that later attracted scrutiny and debate regarding her personal associations and political neutrality. Rather than allowing these controversies to diminish her legacy, she relied on her established reputation, financial reserves, and unwavering belief in her design philosophy to eventually reclaim her position in the industry. In the 1950s, she made a highly anticipated return to fashion at an age when most designers had retired, facing skepticism from critics who viewed her aesthetic as outdated in the post-war era of extravagant silhouettes. She responded by refining her signature techniques, introducing tweed suits with gold-button jackets, quilted handbags with chain straps, and two-tone shoes that combined elegance with comfort. Her comeback collection was initially met with mixed reviews, but gradually won over buyers, editors, and consumers who recognized the enduring practicality and refined craftsmanship of her work. This strategic resurgence demonstrated her ability to adapt without compromising her core principles, proving that authenticity outlasts fleeting trends. Beyond the public empire, her personal life was characterized by intense independence, carefully guarded privacy, and a series of complex relationships that influenced both her creative output and her worldview. She never married, choosing instead to prioritize her career, financial autonomy, and the freedom to shape her own identity without institutional constraints. Her residences, from the modest apartments above her boutique to the lavish suites in Parisian hotels, were meticulously designed extensions of her aesthetic, featuring clean lines, neutral palettes, and symbolic objects that reflected her artistic philosophy. She cultivated friendships with intellectuals, artists, and cultural figures, engaging in conversations that expanded her understanding of literature, theater, and visual arts, all of which subtly informed her design process. Despite her global fame, she maintained a disciplined daily routine, reviewing fabrics, sketching concepts, and overseeing production with the same meticulous attention to detail that characterized her early years. Her approach to personal branding was deliberate and consistent, ensuring that her public image aligned with the values of simplicity, elegance, and self-determination that she championed in her collections. The enduring influence of her work extends far beyond seasonal collections or retail sales, fundamentally reshaping how society perceives women's fashion, luxury, and personal agency. She dismantled the notion that femininity required restriction, replacing it with an aesthetic of movement, comfort, and quiet confidence that resonated across social classes and cultural boundaries. Her design principles became foundational to modern wardrobes, influencing subsequent generations of designers who adopted her emphasis on tailoring, fabric quality, and versatile silhouettes. The brand she established evolved into a global fashion house that continues to set industry standards for craftsmanship, innovation, and strategic branding, while maintaining the core aesthetic values she originally defined. Her contributions to fragrance, accessories, and ready-to-wear fashion created new commercial paradigms that prioritized accessibility alongside exclusivity, proving that luxury could be both aspirational and functional. From the stark corridors of her childhood orphanage to the iconic runways of Paris, her journey remains a profound testament to the power of self-invention, disciplined vision, and the courage to challenge entrenched conventions. She did not merely create clothing, she engineered a new language of modern femininity, leaving behind a legacy of elegance, independence, and timeless sophistication that continues to shape how the world dresses, perceives beauty, and understands the relationship between style and self-expression. Her name endures as a permanent benchmark in fashion history, a reminder that true luxury lies not in excess, but in the deliberate pursuit of clarity, quality, and enduring relevance.